bottle.
Wednesday, everybody who's awake at this hour on the what are we on the West Coast?
We're not awake.
We're barely awake, you guys. We're so excited to be here with a beautiful round table of cat experts. For everyone that's just joining, I thought we should start. This is going to be something that's pretty regular, and most everyone that's going to be joining us will know exactly who you are. But to start off this awesome roundtable conversation about how we can detox our cats and give them a clean start, let's go around and do a quick intro. Dr. Katie Woodley, we'll start with you and go around clockwise.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks so much, ladies. And I'm so excited to be here once again. For anyone who doesn't know who I am, I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor. I'm holistic veterinarian in the Northern Colorado region, and I specialize in Chinese herbal medicine, acupuncture, food therapy, nutrition, and just all things cats and dogs, and helping you help your pets thrive by empowering you with holistic education. So super excited to be here and be with these beautiful ladies on this beautiful morning.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm Pam Roussel with Perfectly Holistic, and I am an energy healer, animal intuitive, and holistic health coach for cats and muscle testing expert. So I do a lot of energy work and evaluations and help kitties and parents or help cat parents get their apply like a more holistic approach to wellness and healing for their cats. So thank you so much for having me on this panel today. It's so fun.
Julianne.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julianne Thorne. I am holistic cat therapist. So as you can tell from my logo with the chakra colors, I also do energy work very similar to Pam. I have that holistic approach. I'm also a qualified behaviorist. So I help people understand why their cats are doing what they're doing and looking at the energy and emotions behind that as well. So I also use botanical remedies like dried herbs and essential oils with cats to look at how we can support their mental, spiritual, physical and emotional needs. So I am thrilled. It's not morning where I am, it's evening. So good evening and good morning, everyone.
Oh my goodness. I love this group so much because you guys are all like who would have thought 6 years ago that we would be surrounded by holistic minded, beautiful women who know everything or who are all about cats. I love this. I love it so much. So today we're going to talk all about getting our cats off to a clean start in 2022. Detox was the subject we decided on for this specific roundtable. I know that like a lot of times when we're talking about detox, we're thinking like, oh, well, my cat has been on a medication and we need to detox, or maybe they've had a vax and we need to detox, but what other, like, when it comes to detoxing our cats, is it just that? And what should we, how should we approach?
How do we know if our cats could benefit from
there you go.
A little cleanse?
Thank you. It's early.
Yeah, I can go ahead and start. I think the biggest thing that we forget about is we unfortunately live in a toxic world. And the Environmental Working Group has actually said that we are exposed to over 85,000 toxins a year. So regardless if your pet's on a medication, if you live like they've been exposed to mold or other things in the house, we are going to come into contact with toxins. And I think this is something that's easy to forget because we don't see it. They're invisible to us most of the time, unless we see those little yellow flags out in our yard from our neighbors spraying or the city spraying pesticides and herbicides. So I think it's really important that we kind of shift our mindset that it doesn't have to be the strong detox. It can be a gentle detox. And we can use foods and we can use supplements and we can use emotions and helping to support reducing stress. Those are all forms of detox to help our cats live their best lives and be as healthy as possible, and to eliminate those toxins as they come into contact with that. So that's kind of like the higher level view that I tend to take when I talk about detoxing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right, Katie. There's different variations, isn't there, of detox? You know, you can look at, you know, a cat that's on medication consistently, or those that seem healthy and well, but actually there's always an opportunity for us as cat mums and dads to look at doing that one thing. You know, what's one new thing or one extra thing or one different thing you can try to support them? Because I know as myself as a human, you know, I always need a bit of work, you know, a bit of energy work or a bit of rest time or whatever it may be, and that in itself can be a detox from my mental health, my physical health. So I think, you know, we can look at it from many aspects. I mean, for me, one thing that I've looked at for Leo to start for 2022 is his treats. You know, so we're looking at what are we feeding now? What can I do differently? You know, and I don't want to use I almost use the word better, and I don't want to use the word better because let's just try something different, you know, and to see if we can make an improvement for him. So we were sent a packet of Dreamies as a Christmas present for him, and it was a gorgeous present from an auntie. But when I looked at the packet, I'm like, oh no, it's full of, you know, carbs and sugars. And I don't know if you guys get Dreamies in the US. Do you know? No, so you no idea what I'm talking about. So basically, it's like a cereal sugar loaded treat for cats. You know, they're a really popular brand in the UK, and I'm sure you've got something equivalent in the US.
We have plenty.
Several. Yeah. So I said to my husband that I was like, I don't want to waste it, but I can't in good conscience give it to Leo because I know that it's not good for him. So we were going to donate it and I still couldn't do it, you know? So I would really advocate people take a look at the treats. You know, let's start off with something simple. What are you feeding as an addition to your food? You know, have a look at the labels. I think label reading is always a great place to start if you're looking to make changes in terms of nutrition and diet, you know. So we are feeding him now freeze-dried or air-dried treats, and he loves it. He's absolutely snarfling them. You know,
Snarfling.
Snarfling. I knew there'd be a word you'd get from me.
I love it.
I do love
it.
He is snarfling well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. My background is coming from more of a holistic approach to my own health. And so just working with naturopaths over the years, I've kind of gotten to this normal routine.
Oh no.
Pam's frozen.
She was going to say routine. Can anybody
come back?
What was she going to say?
You're coming back.
Best
there you are.
ever.
There, she's coming back.
So yeah, just getting into a normal routine for yourselves, like twice a year to do a detox. It can be so beneficial, and there's so many different kinds that you can do. But I think taking that approach for yourself is just a really good reminder that, oh, I probably need to also look at this for my cat. Not obviously the same products necessarily, but it's just like that mindset, like you said, Dr. Katie, because our cats are exposed to just as many toxins in their food as we are, because our food sources are not super clean. And, you know, just stuff that we might bring in from our shoes from outside, even if our kitties live indoors, they're still going to be exposed to toxic environment in the air and just in general, just chemicals in our carpets and our flooring and air quality and all those kind of things. So you're right. It is easy to overlook because you don't see it. It's not glaring at you in the face every day, but it is something that is there.
Yeah. But when you think about like the food specifically, right? Like even like you really, it's almost impossible to be able to trace back but the meat that our cats eat, right? Like as obligate carnivores, the source that they come from. Do we know that cow or that pig or that chicken or whatnot has never been exposed to any toxins itself? Has it ever been exposed to?
Good point.
So even if it's like, oh, well, this is, you know, really good sourcing or non-GMO or blah, 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 what, you know, if we're tracing back what their food Is that the right word? What their food eats?
It's true. No, that's correct. Yeah, what their food is
Yeah.
eating.
What
Yeah.
they're eating, absolutely, and what they're exposed to. Even if they're pasture raised
Right.
animals, doesn't mean that there might be glyphosate drift and stuff in the air and sprays and all that medications and anything like that.
Exactly.
Well, and that's just in the food source, the antibiotics or whatever the food source has been exposed to, right? But
Yeah.
let's talk a little specifically. So there is this general truth, essentially, that we're all exposed to a lot of toxins, and our cats, being smaller, closer to the ground, are probably going to be absorbing a lot more, have a higher percentage of those toxins in their bodies. And so general cleansing is good from time to time. And I want to get into the specifics of how you guys go about that. But let's also talk a bit about some of the specific things, like flea and tick treatments, certain medications, vaccinations. Pam, you are such a game changer for us with two of our boys with the rabies detox, which was really helpful. So can we hit a little bit on your experiences with specific things that are like, ooh, we know this is going to happen. This is a medication or a treatment or a vaccine that needs to be done. And here's how we're going to proactively look at detoxing that and why.
Yeah, so I work a lot with people whose cats have evidently have some vaccinosis or injury from vaccines, and they're showing signs of, having these adverse effects. And so one of the best things that I tell people, if you are in a state or a county that is just adamant about doing that rabies revax every 3 years or whatever, or they won't even look at your pet, which I think is criminal, then I tell them you need to prepare in advance and have your homeopathy, which is what I use for the rabies detox, the Listen, usually a 30C, and some milk thistle. And you start that detox. It's usually maybe 2, maybe 3 doses of Listen and milk thistle for 10 days, twice a day, just to help that liver process out all of the garbage and the stuff from the vaccine. But one of the things that people forget about is that there's heavy metals in those vaccines. And so we need to consider doing a detox for heavy metals and chemicals that are also in the vaccine, and then reinforcing the gut, because those kind of things destroy the integrity of the intestinal walls. And so you end up getting leaky gut over time. So it can be a process, but it can be very gentle. Like Dr. Katie said, it doesn't have to be extreme. And so in order to make this very gentle and easy on the pet, I do it over time. So you don't want to do it all at once, because that could be too much for the body. It's just give the body one thing to do at a time is what a vet taught me. And I think that's very wise.
Yeah. And I love what you said. We tend to focus on like, how do we get these toxins out? And we have to also broaden the approach to look at what are those detox pathways. So we tend to think of just like the liver, right? But we have the kidneys, and we know that a lot of cats are predisposed to chronic kidney disease. And so what are some of the things that we can be doing for them to help support those kidneys? And then also the skin, and just the act of brushing. We were talking just before we went on live, the brushing that we do, helping them to get toxins off and help get that hair cycle, the healthy hair coat, brushing the coat and stimulating the skin and making sure that their skin quality is good. That is the largest surface area where toxins are removed from the body. And then we also have the almighty gut, right? I love talking about gut health because that microbiome is essential for the immune system, which is essential for emotional health and optimal health in general. So this is where, when we look at detox, I love the things that Pam recommended. I use those, I recommend those, but also what can we do every day, or what can we do long term? We can make sure that we're, for one, feeding the right foods. We didn't talk about water. Water is a huge source of heavy metal contamination and other chemicals. When I look up my water on the ewg.org website, I just type in my zip code, we have 13 cancer-causing chemicals in our water through the tap. So I highly recommend everyone in the States go and look up what's in your water, because if you're just drinking from the tap, you need to filter it some way.
Say that website again for everybody.
So Environmental Working Group, so ewg.org. and you will be blown away. Like I was just like, I already knew it. I've looked at it multiple times, and I like look at it again every now and then because it changes. And what you can do is you can use a filter. Yes, a Brita filter is not the best filter, but it's still somewhat of a filter. We use a Berkey filter, look at reverse osmosis. There's a lot of great options. And that website also has a lot of information on water filter systems. But your cats need water. And that's going to help also with the kidneys. It's going to reduce the amount of heavy metals. And then also supporting digestion, using digestive enzymes, using probiotics. You don't have to use these every day, but we need to make sure that we're getting good food in to make sure that microbiome is optimized. Otherwise, toxins get stuck. We don't have the right vitamins and minerals. We get into a nutrient deficiency. That's when the body holds on to toxins. And so if we can fill all those receptors around the cells with the vitamins and the minerals and the things that the body needs, there's not something open that the body goes, I have to fill this receptor with something, and they see a heavy metal and they go, that will do. And now we have a problem. And getting those heavy metals out is a long process. And it begins with all the things Pam talked about, and the food and changing the water, reducing those toxins. So I think those are some great options. For milk thistle for cats, I really like Animal Essentials glycerin tinctures because they can be easier to give than, say, like a capsule or having to medicate your pets. The other thing I like using too, that's really easy to give to cats, is like a chlorophyll or a spirulina product. And there's a product from Dr. Mercola's, the Spirit Green, and it comes in a little tablet, and you can just crush it up and mix it into their food, and you can give it a couple times a week, or make sure you're going to at least start it before you give those vaccines if you need to give vaccines, because there's studies that show that it optimizes the microbiome and it regulates the immune response to those vaccines, so your pet's less likely to have a vaccine reaction. So those are a couple other things that I love adding in, and how I look at detoxing in general.
I love that. And I want to add, as far as the filters go when it comes to the water, if you look up and you see what contaminants, what heavy metals are in your water, you can look at whatever filter that you're looking for, a Brita, whatnot, and they will have a list of what it removes. So certain, it'll say, and you kind of have to look at the fine print, but it will say if, it removes lead, or it removes blah, blah, blah. And then you want to, in order to remove that, you want to make sure that whatever is in your area, what is in your water is matching with the filter that you choose to use.
Great point.
Today. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Julianne, what's your drinking water like over in the UK? And what?
Just as bad. Yeah, no, just as bad. I mean, I was sat. I've probably got a really thinky face on me, because I'm like, I wonder if we have a website that does the same thing, and it's something I've made a note of to look for, because I know in the UK we have different counties, different areas. So in the whole of the UK, there'll be I'm the southwest, and in the southwest there's Devon and then Cornwall. So it's my council type thing. So we're governed by someone called Southwest Water, and I'm just wondering whether there's a way to find out what's in my water. So I use a Brita filter. We don't, I don't drink straight from the tap. I put it through a filter. We've also got it for our kettle as well. So yeah, I wouldn't have thought it was good quality, if I'm honest. And someone commented about how bottled water, I think even bottled water's got toxins. Like we said, there's toxins everywhere. It's really hard to get a clean, pure product, even when it comes to something as basic as water. I think we've got to be kind to ourselves and try the best we can with whatever it is that we're looking at doing or changing or implementing. So I'm definitely going to look for something in the UK. If anyone is on here from the UK and knows of such a site, please drop a comment, because I'd be fascinated and also a tiny bit scared to look into it to find out what's in ours as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think also with the bottled water, because a lot of people will be like, well, it's spring water, right? Well, think about your plastic. And now we have the toxins leaching into the water. So I actually don't recommend bottled water. There's studies that show that it actually has more toxins, and a lot of time it's just tap water that they bottled. I hate saying that, but you're paying more, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's one of the most brilliant from a like a money perspective,
Like selling ice to an
but
Eskimo.
also like evil kind of things, like it's like selling ice to an Eskimo, right? Like I can sell water. I can make $1 billion out of selling water by just putting it in a plastic container and giving it to you. But no, we actually had our water tested years ago, and the guy came to our house, and we have a reverse osmosis system, and he was I think he was installing it actually, and he was doing the test, and he was like, wait, so you normally drink bottled water? And I don't want to say the name of it's just one of the common bottled waters, and he tested it, and it was like red. In the red. It was like, he tested our tap water, it was not clean. He tested the bottled water, it was really dirty, and then he tested of course the reverse osmosis, and it was the most pure that was available at the time.
Yeah. And I see a comment from like Madison, like, what if dishes are cleaned in the water? So this topic can induce a lot of fear because there are a lot of toxins, and I don't want people to walk away like scared to death and being like, oh my gosh, I'm terrified. Everything I do is going to kill me, and it's going to kill my cats. And the reality of it is having that knowledge. And Julianne said too, like, I'm scared to look, but I want to know, because when we know what's in our water, we can do better, right? And we can reduce the amount of toxins, and we're never going to be able to get away from everything. So if you're washing, I still wash my dishes in water, and that's fine. Like, think about, like, you're not drinking it. So if it's drying on that, you're wiping it off too. You're drying those dishes. The chance of something like heavy metals being on that and being in such a high amount that it's going to cause issues, I would not stress about that. Right. So keep that in mind as we talk about these things. And, you think about like the chemicals and the cleaning products that you use. I always say, what is one thing that you can change? This doesn't have to be a massive overhaul. This can be like 2022 is the year I start cleaning up things. And this month I'm focusing on my cleaning products. So every time I clean the dishes, I look at my dishwasher detergent, I turn it around, and I'm like, how many chemicals can I not understand or pronunciate, right? And would I want to use this like on my floor? My cat's walking on it, they're going to groom it off. And if you don't feel comfortable with what you're using, then you can use it up, or you could throw it away right away if you feel more comfortable with that. And then start using some of these natural cleaning products, or make your own. Like, I tell you what, like baking soda, vinegar, like they're the cheapest cleaning products, and they can work really, really well. And we don't use these harsh cleaning chemicals in our house or on our toilets or on the floors or on the windows. So just start looking at what you're using and start actively thinking about, how can I transition over, and what's the time frame that works for me? What's my budget for this too? And what also doesn't stress me out. That's important, because the stress of you stressing out will stress your cats out. And then that also affects their microbiome and their gut health, and it creates inflammation in the body. And it's just this whirlwind vicious cycle. So try not to worry like everything's going to kill, because in reality, it's not. And all these little tips and hints that you're getting today, you can start implementing, and they're going to make your cat's body stronger. They're going to make you stronger and healthier too. And it's the long run that we're looking for. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, and that's why this is like why I feel like this subject is so important, because we can't change everything. We can't fix we can't not be exposed to toxins or not expose our cats to toxins in some way, shape, or form. So these little detox tips that we have can help that, any toxins that they are exposed to, or we are.
And I like you pointing out the fact, and I know, Julianne and Pam, you both do so much energy work. And I feel like that is maybe one of the more toxic things that we should really think about, the effect that it has
maybe that should be
on our own mental health. Yeah, maybe, but on our cats certainly as well. I think that that's something that needs to be brought up. So Dr. Katie, I'm glad that you mentioned, let's not get stressed about this. This is an opportunity for us to be more proactive about just recognizing the things that may be impacting our health, our cat's health, and little things that we can do to take some of that weight off.
No, and I love that, because years ago when I was learning about our toxic world and all the information that I had never been exposed to before, when I was jumping into this journey of, oh my gosh, holistic wellness and all this, I was reading these books, and I cannot remember his the author's name, but he was like a journalist of some kind, and he was just writing these books to kind of inform people of all the ways all the things that you can possibly look at and change. And so I made a list based on his books, and I was just started writing. And then I didn't try to tackle them all at once. Like you said, I was like, okay, what can I do? What can I start with that's easy? Check that off, check this off. And it was food, it was body care products, it was hair products, it was cleaning products, it was used medications, it was every, like a big encompassing kind of thing. And yes, if you look at it like that, it can be very overwhelming, but you just have to take it one piece at a time and go, what is easy for me to do? Buy organic versus not organic. It's just little stuff like that, like you said, so it doesn't feel overwhelming.
Well, it makes a change out of being excited and not scared. I think that energy that we put into things is so important.
So important.
Totally. I completely agree. And it's funny because when Katie mentioned it, it was like, oh, it's a great segue because we're talking about products and, water and chemicals and things. But one of the toxins that our cats are exposed to is our energy. And actually, it's one of the most easiest things that we can control and we have an effect on. So, if you, like Pam said, I'm such a list person. I have like Post-its and lists everywhere. I love to tick it off. And I love that. And it's something I want to do with Leo, is to sit down and think, right, okay, what can we impact for him this year? But there are times when I feel completely overwhelmed. Even as a wellness and a holistic practitioner, I'm like, sometimes I wish I didn't know as much as I know, because I feel like I've got so much that I want to try to do for him. But actually, in that moment, I take a look at myself and realize the best thing I can do is to take a deep breath. And I know this sounds really simple, but I tell you, it is so effective. So my clients, my community, I tell them of a technique called the Calm Connection, where basically you take 3 deep breaths, you put one hand on your heart, one hand on your tummy, you close your eyes, and it can be less than a minute, and then the change of their state that they notice, their energetic state, their mental state, is actually really impactful. So, I really hope that we're giving some useful tips and information for people to look into and to expand their knowledge. But if you feel a little lost or don't know where to look, just take a look at yourself. We all have so many stresses every day, all day, every day. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves as well to be the best, to do better, to look a certain way, be a certain way. And I think when it comes to being a cat parent as well, we have an extra layer of worry because we want to do the best for them. But we're all doing our best. No one sets out to be a bad cat mum or dad. The people that are here, the people that watch this, the people that we connect with, they're trying their best, and that is enough. So if you don't know what to do or don't know where to start, just take a deep breath and know that even by doing that, your shoulders will drop, your energy will change, your frequency, your vibration, the energy that comes off you will alter slightly, and your cat will notice that. I'm sure people on here have had the situation where they're feeling upset or they're feeling sad, they're feeling ill, and their cat will give them cuddles or sit with them. Or, Bobby never really sits on my lap, but, I had a tooth out and he was on my shoulder, and actually they are so sensitive to energy. And the detox element around energy can be really profound. You have a Reiki session or a healing session, and the difference in your cat can be phenomenal. So just know that even with you taking a deep breath and just centering yourself for a moment will deeply impact your cat and help to detox them, just a tiny little bit. It will make a difference. It really will. I'm very passionate about this topic. Sorry, I kind of went off on one for a little bit there.
No, great. I absolutely love it because it's so true. And I do feel like we should have like an entire roundtable discussion on this, because it is so, it's amazing to me, especially lately. I'm like, well, I don't know if this is going to work. Whether it's myself or our cats, I'll be like, I'm not quite sure if this is going to work. If I don't think that it's going to work, it's not going to work. So let me get my energy, and the placebo effect is a real thing. Like, it's scientific, so it's like the energy that we put into whatever it is that we're doing, whether we're feeding ourselves or our cats, whether we're giving them a detox supplement, whatever it is, if we really have the energy, if we're putting our good energy into it, then it's going to be a lot more beneficial. Just like here in the States, at least, we're always talking about grandma's cooking, right? Grandma's cooking is always good because she makes it with love, right? But it's so true, right? Because you can, my mom isn't a cook. Like, she didn't make, there was no mama's cooking. Love mama's cooking. Sorry, mom, if you're watching. But she wasn't, right? And neither was my grandmother. But my sister makes her food with love. And it's like, her food is so good, because it's like she really loves what she's doing and she puts her energy into it. And I think the same goes for when we're feeding our cats too, regardless of what we're feeding. If we're making it, if we're preparing it with love, there's so much with that good energy. There's so much more good energy that's going into the food. Maybe that's a little woo-woo, but I believe it.
No,
That's
totally. Yeah.
There's an entire thing that, going back to that breath that Julianne's talking about, and I think we talked about it before. I absolutely love Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and you can look at the Heart Math Institute, and they're doing a lot of research surrounding heart coherence, and that's tapping into here and that breath and what it does. This is why when people go to like Dr. Joe's retreats, they cure like a brain cancer or they start seeing again. And this is not like miracle. It's because they're tapping into that energy. Actually, woo-woo, call it whatever you want. It's very powerful, and that's where it can really help your pets. And I see Adrian's like, wait, am I freezing? Am I freezing? Okay, I'm back. Anyways, heart coherence, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and the energy and that will heal bodies, and it's powerful. And we are so connected to our cats, and that is a big part of detox, and they do pick up on that stuff. And it's something we went through recently with Tico and the stress of that, bringing in a new rescued adopted cat that got really sick. We thought he had cancer, and I literally shifted my mindset to, he's here for however long, and when he eats the food, and I'm sure it made a difference. And I tried to come to a place, and I was surrounded by all these beautiful ladies helping and sending healing energy too. It makes a difference and it helps. And the cat is acting normal. Doesn't mean he doesn't have any underlying health issues. But the thing is that coming back to that place of being grounded and centered and taking a deep breath, making sure we're taking care of ourselves, we're removing those cleaning products, we're looking at food labels, we're adding in some of these supplements. You don't have to go crazy with this stuff, and it makes a huge difference. And that's why we see people talking about, like, my cat lived to be 30, and they're like, I don't know, I just fed some canned food and let them live out in the wild and come in and loved on them when they wanted it. I'm not recommending all of that. I think there's a lot we can control, but but it's stress. It's the stress and the lack of stress in these pets' lives. That's a huge part of them living to be 25, 30 years old. And that's something that we can control. A lot of that is how we respond to what's going on in our lives.
Yeah. We do. We control the entire environment that they live in, not just the cleaners that we use, but all of that. I see a couple people asking about the rabies detox. Trish, thank you for dropping that. People were asking Pam to repeat what that was.
And spell it.
And spell it.
And I actually carry the Listen Detox, the Listen homeopathy, and can send it out in like 3 pellets, so people don't have to buy a whole tube. Because for some people they would never need it again. So the Listen is I've been trained by a holistic or homeopathic vet. When you're making a remedy for Listen or for Thuya, if you're doing the FVRCP detox for that vaccine, it's usually, if it's right after, you're looking at a 30C potency. And so you take 3 pellets and you dissolve it in half a cup of water, purified water if you can, spring water, something that's filtered. And then you want to be sure that you succuss it. So what I do is I just pull a syringe and I pull out a 0.5 milliliter, which is a tiny amount. But with homeopathy, it's all energetic. So it's not about the volume of the amount of liquid you're pulling out, it's the energy of it. But you got to succuss it. So I just cover the tip with my finger and I strike it against my palm really hard, about 10 to 12 times. And then I just squirt it in his mouth, or you can put it on a little bit of food or something like that. But definitely get the liver support, and follow that up after 10 days do some heavy metal detoxing as well. Heavy metal, I like a product called Heavy Metal and Chemical Cleanse by Global Healing. And it's basically it's not a zeolite product. It's a bunch of herbs in a liquid tincture that are really, really good at pulling out and chelating all of those heavy metals and chemical toxins from the gut, from the tissues, and filtering them out of the body. And then I pair that with Ion Gut Support by Ion Biome, which I think Dr. Katie uses as well. But that stuff is really, really good for sealing the tight junctions in the intestinal walls that if they're damaged, you're letting things pass through that barrier that shouldn't be passing through that barrier. So it develops leaky gut and a whole lot, it can develop autoimmune issues and all sorts of things. So sealing that gut lining is very important, because chemicals like flea products and vaccines and glyphosate exposure and whatever chemical we're coming in contact with, whether BPA, whatever, that can definitely damage the microbiome and the integrity of the intestinal walls. So sealing that up is very, very important part of the detox process, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I love it.
And we deal with a lot of cases where people are adopting their first kitten, right? They wanted a kitten, and they go to the shelter, and they find the perfect kitten for themselves, or they just stumble across a shelter and pick one up. But what we're seeing is that a lot of the while of course they need to do this, in most cases the shelter cats oftentimes, but wild kittens especially, they are vaccinated and they are spay and neutered and they are put on antibiotics to heal from that spay and neuter. They are dewormed. They are given all this before they're even 6 months of age, oftentimes before they're 8 weeks of age. And all of this is being done. And so then we're dealing with, hey, my cat's a year old and the vet cannot figure out why it has diarrhea all the time, why its gut is so unhealthy. Can you guys help? And it's like, wow, we have, we've got a lot to build back. My first question was, did you rescue this little kitten from a shelter? And then we have to, you have to go through a lot of detox. You have to go through a lot of gut building in order to,
what would be your go-tos for that?
Yeah. I would energy test, number one, to see if there's a vaccine resonating as a stressor in the body. And if that's the case, then I would determine if this is a chronic long-term thing that's been going on, and it's probably more like a 200C listen or a Thuya. If it's something that happened recently, it's probably more like a 30C potency. But yeah, I would do those one at a time with that liver support, and then once those are done, start with the microbiome rebuilding with the chemical, detoxing the heavy metals from it, with the Ion Gut Health. Add some omega-3s, especially if they're having a lot of immune confusion, and that's where you see the redness, the itchy skin. It could be the diarrhea. It could be all sorts of, immune issues. I know Dr. Katie probably sees that a lot, but we've got to calm down the cytokine storm in some of these pets, because they are miserable and they have food sensitivities, and they can develop asthma, which autoimmune issues. I mean, that's not normal. If your kitten is 4 months old and they're developing asthma, there's a reason that they've developed asthma. And, so, I mean, you've really got to take a look at what's causing all the inflammatory messengers in the body, and what can you do to start putting those fires out. And I know omega-3s are huge. They can be really, really influential in helping that process. But yeah, address the root cause.
Yeah.
Address the root cause first.
Yeah.
Because you're spinning your wheels. People think, oh, it's just, I'll change the food or I'll just add some supplements. You got to get to the root cause of the issue. Otherwise, it's not going to go away. It's just going to keep manifesting in another way.
Yeah. And it's, I think that's a very good point, because it's getting to the root and to solve the problem, right? Dr. Katie talks about this too. It's like, we have to look at the whole, and then we have to, get to the root of the problem, whether it's, traditional medicine is, symptomatic, right? They're just treating symptoms. And if we take our cats to the vet because they have these issues, they will be on metronidazole, and then they will be on, there will be like antibiotic after antibiotics, all of this stuff. But if we get to the root,
food.
Yeah, this special food. But they will go through all this. But also, a lot of people, even in holistic medicine, are just looking for a quick fix. What supplement can I use to fix this? Because they're just looking at the symptoms and not at the root of the issue.
Yeah, that's if that's like the biggest thing I would change if I was in veterinary medicine and teaching in vet school. That was like one of the biggest differences that you can make in a pet's life is stop looking at the symptoms and try to root down to the root cause. Find the root cause and treat the root cause. And then you'll notice the symptoms just kind of go away on its own. But that's not how most people think.
Right. Well, and it's not a pill for every ill. It's not something that happens overnight. You can be like, oh, okay, we're gonna get to the root of the matter, and now that I know the root of the matter, it's all resolved. No, it takes longer. It takes steps.
Yeah. And it can be hard to find that root cause. I mean, you may have to go through some more diagnostics, and you may have to spend a little extra money to really dive in and figure it out. But just know that there is always an answer and there's always a cause. But you have to do the homework. You have to do the due diligence. And a lot of times when I'm working with these people that have the kittens, are within a year old and they're having all these issues, I'm like, do you have your vaccine records? And they go, pull them out. And I'm like, tell me how many vaccines they've had and which ones. And when were they given? How far apart were they? And then it's like, that's a no-brainer. I mean, and it's so interesting. So I've gotten to the point in my intuitive work, I can look at a cat or I can hear the person telling me the story of what's going on. And I'm already hearing it in my head, rabies vaccine. It's just something inside of me is already identifying with what you're telling me. That's matching the behavior, whatever it is. It's like a pica cat, for example. I just got a new client yesterday. Pica, it's all this, why is this cat? And it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And she was just describing some of the other behaviors. And I'm just thinking in my head, and I said, it could be rabies vaccine. And so I got the photo, did the energy testing, and I'm like, rabies vaccine was big, strong, resonating. I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is why.
Wow.
It's one of the physical characteristics of the rabies disease that manifests as pica.
Interesting. I learned something new every time.
Well, and I want to say this because I know that Dr. Katie has an appointment at 11 today, so we're not going to be able to go over too much. I want to let everyone know here. And Trish, thank you so much. Our VP is dropping some great answers to questions. Marilyn is here. Did you see Jack walk by and said hi to you? But I want to let everyone here know, and for those watching later, that the links for Dr. Katie Woodley, Pam Roussel with Perfectly Holistic, and Julianne Thorne with Naturally Cats, they are all in the description of this video. So I really encourage you guys. I know that most everyone here, and us included, we've all benefited or learned something, like Jay just said. Julianne Thorne, your herb gardens are something that I find a magical thing. For our cats, especially for our Pooh Bear, which, talking about just how the immune system being so crazy, and what did you call it? The whatever storm, calming the whatever storm.
Cytokine storm.
Each of you have contributed to us learning something new that has changed our cats' lives in a way that is exciting and positive, getting back to that whole, let's not do stuff out of fear. Let's do it out of potential and positivity. And I feel like it's very exciting. So for everyone here asking questions that we may have missed, please go and check out the links to these beautiful ladies. And they're fantastic at sharing knowledge as well.
Yes. And real quick, I want to bring more value to the audience. For anybody that's here and they're saying, hey, I want to, my cat's healthy. I understand that they're exposed to toxins. I want to, every once in a while, give my cat something that's going to help detox them. Tell us your favorite, Julianne.
Okay, so I would say my favorite detox is spirulina, and actually I use it slightly differently to the other ladies. So I've got a saucer on the floor with it in for Leo. It's mixed with a little organic sunflower oil, so not the stuff you get from a shop. And it's half powder, half liquid. And basically it's on the floor so he can go to it as and when he wants to. So spirulina, massive immune boost, full of so many nutrients and so many great things. And he's asthmatic, so he's on regular steroids, so he uses it a lot. So sometimes he'll have it when it's quite liquidy, other times he'll have it when it's almost dried out completely. It really depends what he needs. So I would say spirulina is a brilliant immune boost. It's great for the whole body. I would put it down and let the cat choose as and when they want to ingest it. So I work more with self-selection, but it's the same premise of getting it into the cat to help.
Is there a timeline that you can leave it down, or when you mix it up with the sunflower oil, did you say?
Yeah, so it's organic sunflower oil, so it's not mixed with other oils, which is generally what the supermarket stuff is. Sometimes I just put a powder down and he'll eat the powder neat. Other times he likes it mixed with a bit of water, sometimes with the oil. Again, it depends what kind of mood he's in. In terms of leaving it down, I look at the dish some days, realize it's really dry and crusty, go to pick it up to wash it and put fresh down, and the next thing I hear is as he sat there licking it. So it really depends on the cat. As long as it's not got, dusty bits in and bits and pieces, as long as it's clean, it is usually down between 1 to 5 days, honestly. So he will have it in various forms depending on what he needs.
Wonderful. Awesome. Okay, Pam, what about you?
I've learned that it's really, really beneficial to do a liver detox like 4 times a year for once a quarter. Just do 3 weeks of milk thistle twice a day. Just get them on that like a regular liver cleanse, because that affects so many things. And then you can also add the ion gut support, because that does help detox the microbiome as well. So you could do that for a month, once a quarter. That stuff is so good. And then if there's a lot of stagnation in the body and there's having a lot of symptoms like skin breakouts and things like that, I find a lot that the lymphatic system is really sluggish. So there's a product by Animal Essentials called Detox Blend that has the dandelion and the red clover and the milk thistle, and there's something else I can't remember.
Burdock, I believe.
Burdock root. And so it helps the lymphatic system as well as the liver. So that's really good as well. I like those as an option. And then I like using the chlorella or the spirulina, because it's got those almost a homeopathic amounts of all the nutrients that just about in everything, that so many good products are good minerals and everything. All the ingredients in those products are so good, and they're really good for chelating and binding the toxins and the heavy metals and pushing them out of the body. So I would have to say those would be some of my top recommendations.
Awesome sauce. Okay, Dr. Katie.
Yeah, so I have some overlaps too. Big ones are the spirulina, the chlorella, the greens, because what's nice is they're gentle enough where you could use them every day if you wanted to. I'm a big fan of doing some of the pulse treating of that. I also like the 2 detox blend that Pam mentioned is a really good one. It is a little bit stronger because it has extra herbs added into it. So that would be a great one. I like the quarterly cleanses with the season changes are a great time to think about that. Schedule it in your calendar. I also really like the Dr. Mercola's product that's a liver and kidney support. And it comes in a powder, and your cats do not need a lot of it. And you can sprinkle it in and mix it in their food. I mix it into the raw food. What's nice about that is it has other nutraceuticals in it. So glutathione is like the body's master antioxidant. It supports the liver detox pathways. So that's a really good one. And glutathione decreases as your pet ages. So choosing some of those products that have something like that in it to help support the mitochondria and the energy and get things going in the body. But similar principles to all these other ladies, like using these intermittently, and especially when the body's going through a lot of stress. If your pet is on medications, then making sure that we are giving some of these greens through either self-selection or adding it into the diet are great options to help cleanse and just provide gentle detox. Now, biggest thing too if you find your pet is having side effects, you find skin infections flare up, they get diarrhea, sometimes I'll add in things that tend to be a bit more of a binder. This is where your zeolites, your clinoptolites, those are binders. Just make sure they're sourced appropriately because they can have heavy metals.
Yeah.
They can be contaminated with lead. You'll also see products that have humic and fulvic acid in them. So those are where, if you're finding that you're trying these things and your pet is really sensitive, they may be releasing too many toxins. So we want to use a binder so it's not being recirculated back into the system. So I find that with a lot of my patients that I see a lot of really, really, really sensitive pets. We add in a binder also. So we don't see a detox reaction, because I don't want to see detox reactions. I don't want to make pets feel not good.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you repeat those binders one more time for us?
So humic and fulvic acid, or you can use your ion biome is a great one too. That helps in healing those tight junctions in the gut also. But also so Vital Pet Health has a cat, the cat detox formula, feline detox formula. They have a feline immune health too. I know, Pam, you recommended those products. I've used them with Tico personally. They worked really well, easy to give. Those are great products, super easy to give, and you can just mix it in with like the food. So those would be a couple that you could use.
Wonderful. And then I want to just going back, because we our holistic vet, or a holistic vet, once told us, going back to like the brushing. So for me, like some free options here, or some very cheap options. If you take a flea comb, and that you can get for like 50 cents, right? A flea comb, you brush their hair.
$1.50 now.
It's $1.50 now. Sorry, inflation. If you brush their hair backwards, okay, this is what we were told. Brush their hair backwards, and then of course brush it back, right? Don't leave them all skanky. But if you brush it backwards, that helps to detox the skin. And then exercise. Exercise is one of the freest
lymphatic system.
The cheapest way to detoxify the body, and that's something that we can all do today with our cats, is start getting them on a routine of playing, getting them moving, getting them exercising. Exercise is a fantastic detox as well.
And I just want to reiterate too, just the amazing, you guys always are so uplifting and inspiring. And I just hope everyone here takes a moment to breathe that in for a minute and remember how much our energy impacts our babies. I think it's one of the most incredible things. And I feel like there's so many exciting things that we've learned today, new stuff for us too, that we can start implementing in an exciting and positive way and proactive way for our cats. So before we close it up though, any last thoughts from each of you, and let everyone know where they can find you. Again, all of their links to their websites are here, linked in the description of this video. So Dr. Katie, let's start with you again.
All right, great. And remember, like we're saying, start small, start with one thing, maybe make a plan for the year. What are I love Pam's idea of checklists, like going through, rewatching this, going, where can I change and make that one difference in my cat's life? And maybe you start with the food, or maybe you start with the exercise, because that's super fun and easy to do with your cats. But I think just start with one thing, write it down, put it in the calendar, schedule out your quarterly detoxes with your cats, and start there. It's either one day or day one, right? So make it day one today. And you can find me at thenaturalpetdoctor.com, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, where I'm everywhere. But feel free to reach out and join our weekly coffee talks with the doc on every Friday to learn a little bit more too. So thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thank you, Pam.
I was just thinking here a second ago, a couple things just real quick is our toxic thoughts. So we have to really be aware of how we think as pet parents. And we were talking a little bit about how that carries over into our cat stress. So I would just say retrain yourself from thinking the negative side and pulling in all that toxic negative energy, and changing your thoughts and your words, because thoughts and words are very powerful. And so you have to retrain your brain a lot of times. And it can be very easy to get sucked into the negative side, but just retrain your brain to think positive. You're bringing healthy, happy energy into your home, into your cat's environment, and into your environment. And that definitely rubs off onto our babies. And I was just also thinking about post-surgeries, like dental or spay neuter. That's a really, really good time to think about adding some milk thistle support depending, you know, so those drugs can get really flushed out of the body, maybe some lymphatic support too, depending on the situation, and just help them clear all that stuff out as their body's healing. I think it would probably speed up the healing process, but it would definitely support the liver at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So those are things. So you can find me at perfectlyholistic.com. It's PURRR, perfectlyholistic.com. I do consultations. We have an online store for everything cat and holistic wellness and services. I have amazing providers for things like Reiki and even animal communication. So come check us out, and you can always email me with questions at pam@perfectlyholistic.com. So if we didn't get to a question today, by all means, feel free to send us all emails, because we love getting mail and connecting with you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
All right,
Julianne.
Julianne.
For sure. So my final thought would be just catch your breath. Just take a deep breath, everyone. You know, in fact, let's do it all now, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, in fact, let's do calm connection. Right. So left hand on your heart, eyes closed, you know, deep breath in.
Left hand on your heart.
And out. And then put your right hand on your tummy or your solar plexus, another deep breath. And then just one more. And as you do your deep breath out, drop your shoulders. And then just sit with your body for a moment. Let the breath just flow naturally. Take another breath if you need to. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So that was like just a few seconds. That wasn't even my normal length. I normally do it a little bit longer, but I'm conscious of time. So just take a deep breath, everyone. And I don't know about you guys, but I already feel more chilled.
I do. It's like the beginning of the day. I'm like, this is perfect.
She's in a
Great way to start your day, for sure.
She's in a way better mood.
Indeed.
Should have seen her at 5:30 this morning. So thank you, Julianne.
Yes.
And we're
You're
going to
welcome.
find you again.
You're welcome. So you can find me at naturallycats.co.uk. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. As Adrienne mentioned, I also sell herb gardens, so dried herbs for cats. So you put them down, you let the cat choose what they need to do with them. Everyone here has had one, and I hope that they all give me a thumbs up and like them. The cats really enjoy them. They calm the cats, they chill the cats out, they help with anxiety. So you can see that in my shop. And I'm also starting a cat chakra diploma in February. So if you're interested in looking into that, it's a 5-month course, and we've still got some spaces available. You can find information from my Instagram from the link in my bio. So as Pam and Katie mentioned, feel free to get in touch, drop us messages. There's a couple of comments I'm going to take time to reply to, you know, over grooming and stuff and things. So if I don't get to it tonight, we will come back to you all. So thank you for commenting and the questions.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for being here with us. And thank you to you awesome ladies. I love the fact that we've committed to spending time together, you know, every month to be of service to others. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to connect with you and to help people with their cats. So thank you.
No, we're the ones that are grateful. You
guys
guys
are
are
so
absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Dr. Katie's got an
Dr.
appointment
Katie.
in 30 seconds. I love you so much.
We love you guys, and
Love you guys.
we will see everybody together again next month. We'll let you know.
Indeed.
Love
Take
you
care,
guys.
everyone. Bye
Bye.
for now. Lots of love.
Bless you all. Happy Whisker Wednesday.